Hey everybody, the channel's called All Sorts of Words. The guy's name is Ricky, and my taste is questionable at best. So just sit back and listen to the ASMR sounds of what it would sound like if you wandered into a comic book store with me, Ricky, my friend. It's reversed. Hagan from Lettuce Comics. You should go
You got it.
subscribe. And then Brandon from Mon Comics. You should also go subscribe. So yeah, gentlemen, how are you?
Well, thank you. How are you?
I'm chilling. I'm really relaxed.
Yeah, I was just telling you guys before we got on that there are some things that I'm not going to have a chance to talk about any other place. But like you said, Ricky, you just read weird shit. So yeah, I'm excited. Excited to hang out with you guys.
Yeah, so let's okay. So I finished my book in 5 days, which is for me, I would consider myself a slow reader. My wife will read like an entire ass novel literally in like a day and a half. So a week for me, usually when I'm at like a week and a half, is really big. But I finished William Gibson's Neuromancer. This is considered to be the first. I think it was written in 83 or 86. I can never remember. 3s and 6s in my head, man. But it's a science fiction novel. Here, I got pictures for you guys, so you can see it. Neuromancer, 1986, 1983, somewhere in there. This is considered to be the first science fiction cyberpunk novel. It really is written like a detective noir story, almost. But it is truly indecipherable in that, like, here's the deal. Okay, so the magic of reading is that when you're reading a book, you're reading words and your brain's assembling them and you're making pictures in your head. But when you get into the zone and you're just like, the condition's right, you don't feel your feet anymore, it's perfect weather, the blankets are tight, all of a sudden you're not reading anymore. Just the images in your head are just changing. And it's like really fascinating. This book is the closest I've read to Tolkien without being Tolkien, in that the density of the descriptions are so intense. You literally can't look away in this. You can't zone out. You can never hit that zone of reading. You have to be intently focused on what you're reading because it's difficult to follow, especially when he goes into places like cyberspace and it's like the blooming depth of crushing despair wilted. And you're like, I'm once more with feeling. What did you just say to me? And like, so I feel like when you finish reading it, I've read it twice because there are whole ass paragraphs from like, I literally don't know what I just read. And so I do have a line I want to read you. And one October night, punching himself past the scarlet tiers of the Eastern Seaboard Fission Authority, he saw 3 figures, tiny, impossible, who stood at the very edge of one of the vast steps of data. Small as they were, he could make out the boy's grin, his pink gums, the glitter on the long gray eyes that had been Riviera's. Linda still wore his jacket. She waved as he passed. But the third figure, close behind her, arm across his shoulders, was himself. Somewhere very close, the laugh that wasn't laughter. What the fuck? It's insanity.
You're going to need to make some diagrams to understand.
Dude,
that.
It's wild though. But like, it's literally, so it's okay. You know, like a heist movie, like a Snatch, something like that. They literally have to assemble a crew of sci-fi hackers, and you hear them. Doom, 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 doom. We need a safecracker. They're getting the team together, the whole book. But instead of a mafia guy, like, we're going to steal the Hope Diamond or whatever the fuck, instead of that, it's an AI assembling a team of hackers in the real world so that it can break free of its confines and enter the web as a free soul. It's trying to escape into Sweden, of all places, because it thinks it has the best chance there of arguing its humanity. And so they're like breaking into this like space Las Vegas. It's wild, but it's so fun. And like, man, if you're willing to like dedicate yourself to actually like focusing on what you're reading, you will blow your goddamn brain out of your head.
Yeah, you had me. I was able to get a vision up to like the kids at the edge of the data center, the three beings, and like kind of just went into like inside a computer. But then after that, it just fucking went off the deep end. And I was like, wait, what?
It might help me as far as understanding if you could get Chat GPT to turn it into a TikTok. Could you get Chat GPT to turn the book into a TikTok for me?
It's like it's the first 8 minutes of the newest Smurf movies. Like that one where they couldn't even like dub them correctly, and the French is still, the mouth is moving weird. Okay, that was my rant. Hagan, I know you've got something on command. What do you got? Show me something weird.
So I was just gonna go through like all the books that I had, because I've got like several different things, right? So I've got a stack of books, I've got a TV show that I want to talk about, a short story, a short film, a webcomic, like the gamut. So this is my stack of books, and at the very bottom is a graphic novel, so like a comic book, something. But the first book that I want to talk about is Orbital, and this is going to be like very brief because I got a lot and I don't want to take up a ton of time. But I was struggling about whether or not I wanted to bring this because it doesn't have a plot. It's all characters. So the conceit is that the last crew aboard an orbiting space station goes about their daily lives for like 2 weeks, and that's it. And they muse about humanity. They go about doing their experiments. Things happen to their family down on Earth. Like one of their mothers dies, and they have to deal with that. And it's a book that like gets characters to talk and think, and gets you to talk and think and sort of meditate on, I guess, just what it means to be a human being. I tend to like to go through and dog ear where there are good like quotes and stuff, and I'm trying to find them now like quickly.
You mean you don't have a word document in your phone where you record all yours?
I do have a notes document, but when I was reading this book, I was on a Canadian lake and I didn't want any tech around me at all, so I just read the book. Yeah, I'll find something in it later, but I really, really enjoyed this book. I really liked a lot of the conversations that were had. It's a really good character book. I like trashy romance books. This isn't really trashy, but it's a book written by Emily Henry, and it just makes me feel warm. It makes me feel like nice and safe. Basically, the plot of this, the plot of this is basically that these two people used to be engaged. They broke up, but they have to pretend like they're still together while they're at a beach vacation with their friends. Hilarity ensues. It's a really fun, easy read. I tore through this in like a day and a half. This is not an easy read. So I am halfway through this book right now. But I feel confident talking about it because this is another one that doesn't have a plot. When I was in Canada recently, I went to a Canadian bookstore and I wanted to get something that was written by a Canadian author and something that was written by a native author. And this is written by a native Canadian author who is also a woman. And I tend to like reading books that are written by women more than I like books that are written by men. This is involved, though. It's difficult to even explain what it is. Essentially, the main character's father dies, and then after a while, she becomes a leaf with her father, and they talk about humanity. It's an odd one, but I wanted to just read the first couple paragraphs of it for you so that you could get the extent to which it is odd. There we go. Now the earth is heating up in advance of its destruction by God, who has decided that the first draft of existence contained too many flaws. Ready to go at creation a second time, hoping to get it more right this time, God appears, splits, and manifests as 3 art critics in the sky. A large bird who critiques from above, a large fish who critiques from the middle, and a large bear who critiques while cradling in its arms. And it's sort of that like holistic, naturey feel through the whole book. It's an odd one. This is The World's Worst Assistant by Sona Movsesian, who has been Conan O'Brien's assistant since he moved off of The Tonight Show. She talks about how she didn't deserve the job because she was irresponsible and always high on weed gummies and didn't take Conan seriously at all. And that's the exact kind of person that he needed. And so it just goes through like their relationship and the different quirks of working in like a late night setting. And she's a really gifted writer, like a very natural writer. It very much feels like she's talking to you. And the foreword is written by Conan O'Brien, and it's amazing. It's a 2-page foreword. If you think you might be interested in reading the book, read the foreword and see if you like it. If you do, go for it. The World's Worst Assistant by Conan O'Brien, or by Sona Movsesian. The last thing that I want to talk to you guys about is this. This is Essex County by Jeff Lemire. This was introduced to me by Nate, and it is Jeff Lemire's story about 3 different people in one county in Canada. There's a small boy, there's a man in the past, and there's a man in the present. I think those are the 3 characters, but it's excellent. It's just it's isolating and also somehow hopeful and melancholy. And Jeff Lemire's art, while it's not for everybody, absolutely works with this kind of story. Like it just gets across the feeling of just like a hard life, or of just hardship. And I really enjoy this. It's one of my favorite graphic novels. I'm so happy that Nate introduced it to me. But those are the five-ish books that I had to show. Just a whole assortment of stuff.
Sick. I wrote down Orbital and Pure Color for sure.
Those are the ones that I knew you would probably be interested in. Yeah,
I'll always mess around with what are they called? Like experimental literature. I like that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'll check out Essex County for sure.
Brandon, did you bring anything weird? Did you bring anything cool?
No, mine's pretty run of the mill, but I've really been enjoying it. Everyone recommended Planet Hulk to me, and I finally bought I was, instead of getting all the issues and like ordering through the mail, I went to a store in Syracuse and they had it, and it was a free comic book day, so it was like 15% off the $30. I got it. I loved it. It's a good story. It really shows the human side of Hulk without it being Bruce Banner, because there is no Bruce Banner in here. It's just all Hulk. And it's really, you see where Ragnarok really like took a lot from this storyline. So I enjoyed that. I had a medical procedure for males done like a month ago. So like I was laying in bed and just instead of doom scrolling, just read a ton. I shared this with Ricky, and I didn't know that the new one's out, but Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. Everyone was recommending this to me, and there's some similarities between this story and Ricky's book. We talked about it, and that he had me thinking about like other stories that mimic this, and I could think of some other movies and stories like the more I thought about it, like the plot behind it, and it's part of Ricky's book.
Yeah, there's definitely a trope of like I think the first time I ever saw a story like a retired serial killer was Stepfather, that horror movie from the 80s.
Yes,
where it's got that famous line. It's like, I don't know if anybody remembers it, but like he's holding up this gag of like he's a normal dad now, and he's helping raise his stepdaughter, and he's the stepfather, but his killer side's coming through, and he answers the phone towards the end of the movie when he's like, the tension's really high and he's slipping up a lot, and his kid's behind him, the step kid, and he answers the phone, And he goes like, Ronnie speaking. And the daughter's like, what did you just say? And he goes, who am I here? And then he spins and he fucking whacks her with the phone. And then that's where like now we're in the last like 20 minutes of the movie. It's sick. Who am I again here?
That's great. You know what movie it made me think of was is it Red Dragon, where the guy, the serial killer's obsessed with Hannibal Lecter and just keeps trying to impress him and show him. But like when I was in the store, I didn't know what this was about, so I opened it up and I happened to just flip open to where the main character is disassembling one of her victims. I like that it's a female serial killer in this. Very methodical, like Dexter in that sense, and has rules kind of. So really got to pick up the new one. I forgot what it's called. It's like Spring something. So I'll probably, because that just started with issues. Now I have 2 books. One I had started and then like I hadn't finished it, but then like I just said I'm going to start over with it. So it's not like a whole book, but it's Predator If It Bleeds. So this is a compilation of 16 stories, and they can be set in the Confederate wartime. It can be on a different planet. There's some feudal Japan. There's like a Old West prairie time with like 2 kids that are getting abused, and like Rites of Spring. Thanks, Bo. So like what I loved about this is after I read this is that I could go back and like pick the stories that I wanted, that I really loved. Like the Japanese, the Samurai Warrior one, like is like how it ties in how the word and the title of ninja came about. And I thought that was a really smart thing. And there's even one story where this kid does something horrific to save himself from being abused, and the predator says a word in his language. And I Googled it and I found out what that word meant. And I was like, oh my God, that's like amazing that they thought to use that word and knew people would go Google it to see what it was like, what it meant. And then there's also a story that continuations Predator 2 in here. So that was a really good one. The last book, I've been freaking showing it off everywhere, and it's because I have a question for you, Ricky. This was the book that I read when I was laid up the most. And I have 2 questions. First of all, who is your artist on this?
His name is Tyler Keeler. His website is in the inside of the inside of the jacket, or like it's in the indicia.
Okay, gotcha.
He's a lifelong friend of mine, and yeah, like I told him what I wanted, and he literally took like a good month or so to like just come up with a design and then get my approval. He's great. He's a great guy.
Perfect. It's perfect. So that was my first question. So you answered that, and I can find on the inside.
I also and now that you've read it, I also wanted to do a bit of a gag where the cover, and the second you open the book and go to the first page, it's exactly what you're looking at. So like the first page that you turn is technically the cover.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
It's like you see it, and then they immediately, now you're in the woods. Where are we? What are we doing?
You're in the woods. Here's my question. What would you want to ask someone that's read your book? You're the first, like you're one of the only authors I've ever talked to from a book of this caliber that I've read.
That's a really good question, actually. I don't know if I've heard that question. That's a really good question.
That's an excellent question.
Did you enjoy it? And if you did, in what way did you enjoy it? Like what is, if you think back on it, like I enjoyed it. If you think back on it, like what did you enjoy about it? If we're just talking about media that we enjoyed, what did you enjoy about it?
Can you make us thirds? Because I'm going to talk about this too, because I also read it and I have tons of.
Here's what I loved about this. A couple things. One is your way to describe the environment in which they're in that made a reader use their senses to help compile that scene, not just images, but like Richard said earlier in the chat, smelling the woodwork, smelling the stale beer of the bar, smelling every setting you're in, seeing every setting. It made me feel really uncomfortable, which nothing has really challenged me to do that lately, particularly parts with Connor. And I could feel the uncomfortable space that his victims were in. But I really loved that I have anxiety. I have diagnosed anxiety that I deal with. And this made me anxious, but learn to deal with it. Like learn to like cope with it. Like Hannah and I have watched so many TV shows, and she's like, you always want to watch the same shows. And it's because like I have anxiety of like, we watch Walking Dead, and like I couldn't handle not knowing what's going to happen in a very suspenseful situation. That's why I always watch the same movies over and over, because like it's calming. But this put me in a place to just go with it. And it is anxiety riddled in a good way. I thought there was 7 ways a scene could have happened or a situation, and I just didn't know where it was going to go. And it was really, I mean, I knew you would be a good writer, Ricky. Like, I didn't have to read your stuff to know that. I've talked to you enough, but yeah, it took me, now remember, I only read at night when I'm lying in bed now. I don't get on my phone. I just read. So it took me a week and a half, I think, or 2 weeks to go through this. You know, I get up at 4 a.m. for work. So it's like, I was off for my procedure, but then when I went back to work, like, I'd have to just, okay, can I get through 2 chapters? Can I get through 3 chapters? Like, and I didn't want to put it down because I needed to know what was going to happen. Characters were great. And yeah, so I wanted to know what you would ask someone, because I'm not sure you get to talk to people often, like face to face, about a book that they've read that you've done. Like, unless, you know, you're an author that's out there signing stuff. I don't know if you do. Like, do you have a separate Twitch stream about your books that people get on and
no, no. So what's like, really, honest to God, truly, what sucks is that, like, I have no confidence, and it's like, it's something that I'm compelled to do because I love doing it. And I put a lot of work into it, and I edit the shit out of my books to make sure that they're like as clean as they can be. I work really hard at my writing. And then I literally pay a man. I won't go over his exact salary. It's under $2,000, but I pay a man not that far off of $2,000 to edit my book with me. And he's a professional, and I've credited him in both of my books in the Indicia. His name's Ian Rogers. He's amazing. And he's like, you need to put, like, writing is rewriting, you know what I mean? So I do put a lot of work and stuff like that. So
you can tell you did. It is flawless as far as the writing and the style and everything you did. And side note, before I go, I just like to say that I text Ricky right away when he made his Zendikar. He used the word Zendikar as a Magic the Gathering reference.
I did.
I was like the Captain America meme. I'm like, I get that one. No, great work, Ricky. I've been waiting to talk to you about this face to face. I've shown it on like every show that I've been on or talked about it, because it's not like, you want a friend to write a book, and man, I hope it's good. I knew it was going to be good. I just didn't know how it was going to make me feel. And boy, it made me feel all right.
I really want to read it again before we do a deep dive with you, because we're gonna make you sit in a stream with a couple other people, I would think, and talk about your book and say good things about it to your face. But yeah, I agree with everything that Brandon said. It's paced extraordinarily well. Each of the main characters is really, really relatable and feel like real people. I'm somebody that has difficulty. I told you about this, Ricky. I am building up stamina for reading. I didn't have to think about that in this book. It just kept pushing me along and pushing me along. There were scenes that were so tense, and they were made more tense because you made me care about the characters. And I have dog-eared more pages in this book than any other book that I have. The one that I landed on was the pain monologue.
Oh,
if you want it read, that would be. I mean,
I would love
it's a great
to.
piece of
I've
writing.
never heard anyone read what I wrote out loud, so this would be cool.
Okay. So I'll just start at that paragraph. The hunter gagged on the word pain. What does this soft little thing know about that word? I'll break his bones and knit them back together wrong. I'll reshape him so he has to spend the rest of his very long life learning how to walk on joints I'll engineer. He'll live off the food I make from my body and eat it through the new mouths I give him. I'll tear him new holes for lovemaking. And maybe then, after 25 years of our matrimony, when he's done learning all about discomfort, I'll introduce him to pain.
You sick fuck.
That's fun.
It's hardcore stuff, dude.
It's
really good.
I was like, I don't know where I've heard it before. Good writings or good movies where someone says, like, no, first you'll do all this and then, yeah. But you described it really well. That was really jarring, Ricky.
Well, thanks. And my other book's a children's book.
Okay. So I want to go with the children's book, but I'm like, maybe I'll go with that to read my kids, You know, would you suggest that? Like when
So
they're
yeah, it's 100%. It's hard to go backwards from something awful to the young adult book, but like I literally wrote a book about it's okay. So the elevator pitch. There are 5 realms that make up reality, and we're down here, and there's all these different realms, right? And there is a magic being who has these magic artifacts, and they live in this realm their unnaturally long life, and they do whatever they want with magic. You're considered to be the freest person in the world. You can be a thief, a king, a doctor, a teacher. And then when that person's unnaturally long life is coming to an end, they give the artifacts to the next realm. So the next dimension gets them. And Earth is down here, and they have skipped us every time this cycle has gone on for the 14 times it has happened, the cycle. We've always been skipped because you need to produce an extraordinary person who can responsibly carry these 3 magical items. A person with the shoulders to endure truth, a person with the mind that seeks truth, and the person with a heart to know truth when they find it. And so you need one person with all those 3 qualities to inherit these objects. We always get skipped because we've never had a 3 out of 3. We've had a 2 out of 3. We had a person with the brain who knows truth and the shoulders to endure it, but no one with the heart to know truth for real. We've all these different combinations. We've never had 3. And so all these other worlds have gotten magic and the benefit of magic, and they've all become advanced with magic, and Earth is just Earth. We live here. So the 14th person who has these things, they're called the Witch of the World. The 14th Witch of the World comes to Earth, and as a gag, because we've never had all 3, she picks 3 kids, each with one of the qualities, and disperses the objects between them. And they're designed to look like a magic show. There's a hat, a wand, and a cape. And each kid gets one object, and they're all 14. And the person who believes they should have been the recipient is coming after the kids to prove that you don't deserve this stuff. I deserve it. And then that's the conflict of the story, and them asking themselves, do I deserve this? Do I deserve to be special? And so it's really an examination of 3 14-year-old kids just like asking themselves, do I deserve to be special in the world? And so that's the theme of the book, but very different from from something awful. And then my next book's going to be even weirder. 15 short stories about people shitting their pants. I'm literally writing it right now. It's lovely.
I can't wait. And I will buy that other book for it sounds like a good one to put away till, I mean, Evelyn will be 14. She's 5 now, but she'll be 14 before I know it. It goes so
yeah. Like a teenager, a young kid asking themselves the tough questions, and then having like difficult home lives. That's tough too. So I don't know, a lot of that. But anyway, enough self-promotion. Fuck me. See, that's how awkward I am. Let me show you. Speaking of samurai,
dude, be proud of it.
It's hard.
No, you need to be.
Brandon, you brought up samurai, and so one of my things this week that I finished the 6th movie in the Lone Wolf and Cub Criterion Collection. It's 6 films long. The dude that you see on the screen, his real name, the actor's name is Wakayama, and he plays the Lone Wolf. It is one of the sickest elevator pitches of all time. So there's a samurai executioner. He is the executioner for the Shogun.
Is that the one from the Wu-Tang song?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not familiar with all of Wu-Tang.
I'll find it. Keep going.
Yeah, but so the Shogun, the emperor, effectively, there are situations where like a lord can absolve themselves of losing honor if they die. So like if they commit suicide. So the way that you do it is you commit seppuku, you take a blade, you cut your stomach, and then the samurai executioner is the one that is legally sanctioned by the state who shows up and he cuts off your head. And so now that it's officially a sanctioned killing, the fact that your son raped that washerwoman girl and tarnished your family's name, we're going to wash it from the history books because you took it. Whatever it is, the crime that you're being forgiven of, even if it's a social crime. They have one social crime where 2 guys are in a duel and the guy points his sword in the direction of the emperor and they all go, oh God, no, it's Anticristo. And they say like, you got to fucking go. So like, there's honor crimes and stuff. But anyway, there's a guy His name, oh God, Ogami Ito. And he is the samurai executioner. Another family wants his job. So they kill every single member of his family, wiping his name from the earth, and all of his servants, the guy that delivers the mail, the milkman, everybody in this sphere around Ogami Ito, the samurai executioner, is killed. And he finds out immediately. He clocks him immediately. I know who did it. I know why they did it. They ruined my name. And in the rubble of his life, he's moving about his house. He finds his son, Daigoro. And his son is a literal baby. And in the most gangster shit you've ever seen, he takes his little baby and he puts it on the floor. And in front of him, he places a knife and a little ball. And he goes, here's the deal, kid. If you crawl towards the ball, I will send you to your mother and you can live with her in the afterlife. But if you crawl towards the knife, you will walk with me on the demon road to hell, and we're going to kill every motherfucker who wronged us. And the little baby goes right up to the ball, and then he goes over to the knife. And so now the lone wolf and cub, they are traveling the countryside in this cart. I'll show you the cart. They have a cool insert in the Criterion collection. He builds this like Iron Man cart covered in weapons. It's essentially that scene from The Matrix where he's like unloading his stuff at the metal detector. The cart's insane. He kills with all of these components. And there's a sled. The last movie has him sledding down the hill and using a machine gun. So like all of that cool intrigue I just told you about the lone wolf and cub. Here's some of the inserts. All of that is set in a 60s action samurai movie. And there's 6 of these bitches and they're really fun. And it's a great time. I don't know if you're into samurai movies.
I will be down with that.
Shut the hell up.
Heartbeat.
Kidding me?
And then 2 more. I've this not samurai movies. Here's one. My wife and I have been going through the I Know What You Did Last Summer movies because it recently got like a new kind of mega reboot. And so we're up to part 3 and we watched I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. This is the Transmorphers direct to DVD that you didn't know ever came out. Like the first one is starring Jennifer Love Hewitt. The second one is starring Jennifer Love Hewitt. They still had a semblance of a budget. And then this movie is an actual catastrophe. This is not only, so you're familiar at least with I Know What You Did Last Summer. These teenagers,
shit, yeah.
of course, for if you haven't, teenagers get drunk, run over a guy and hide the body instead of facing consequences. Turns out the guy didn't die and he comes back and he hunts the kids down. The second movie, simple enough. They thought they beat him in the first movie. Oh shit, we didn't. And he's coming after her again. You know, second verse, same as the first. At this point, it's an SNL joke. It's just not ending. The third one has new kids inexplainably, and it's in the Midwest. And we're like, and the whole time, my wife and I are like, how does this connect at all to that? We're going to find out at the end that like she's the cousin of like some dumb shit.
Yeah.
The end of the movie, they're about to reveal the guy's face and all the action sequences are about to start. And you're like, okay, finally. It's a dog shit movie. It's terrible. It looks like a CW episode of The Arrow, the whole thing. Boring. Nobody's dying in fun ways. It's boring. But anyway, the guy's mask is about to fall off. The camera pans in, pushes in real hard. You're getting real excited. The mask comes off. He's a zombie. They made him supernatural. And so now he's supernatural. And so now I guess he's like a Bloody Mary, but if you fuck around and you pull some bullshit, he shows up and punishes you for lying because he's not even
something
related.
A summer ago.
Dude, he's not even, yes, if you did something a summer ago, he's not even related to the death that happens. It's these 4 friends, and one of them says, okay, I'm going to like kick flip off this building and it'll be super sick. And they're like, okay, cool. He climbs up, he kick flips, and he lands on a tractor, like the spigot at the top, the exhaust pipe, and it goes through him and it goes a little toot toot. Like they're even making fun of it. And they're just like, oh shit, he wasn't supposed to die. Who moved the pad he was supposed to land on? Oh God, they put a truck there. And so they keep it a secret. They're like, okay, he just looked like a dickhead that died on camera. We won't tell anybody that we knew. That action was enough to summon the fisherman from the first 2 movies as a ghost who is now a spirit of vengeance.
Thanks for going through that for us so we don't have to.
I wish I could say it's worth it just for the meme of making fun of it, but like I'll never get that time back.
You know, speaking of horror movies, I did watch one recently. I went way back 70s. It just popped up recommended Dark Night of the Scarecrow. You ever heard of it?
No. I'm looking it up.
Really simple plot. The main character is this mentally challenged individual, and he's friends with this little girl, and it's like in this Midwest town set in the 70s, and like they think he's, you know, trouble and he's going to hurt the girl because he's, you know, troubled. And the evil guys in it are the coach from Mighty Ducks, the evil coach from Mighty Ducks. And then the main bad guy is plays Papio Daniels in Oh Brother Where Art Thou. So
and the guy from The Dentist.
Yes. That's what I knew he was in other stuff. So what happens is like him and this little girl, like looking into, they're playing one day, they look into this backyard with a fence, and he's like telling her, don't go in there. And she does. And this dog attacks her. And by the time he gets to her, the town thinks that he has hurt this girl. So they come chasing after him, these 4 guys, and he goes into a cornfield and he hides himself in that Scarecrow outfit. And they shoot him, they kill him, they blast him. And not even a minute after they kill him, the CB comes on. It's like, hey, the girl woke up. It was actually the dog. Melvin saved her, you know, like. So, and they're like, we didn't kill, he attacked us. They made up the story. And so this guy comes back as the Scarecrow and kills them in interesting ways throughout the rest of the movie. But it was really good for the time. Like for the 70s, like it did it for me. It was cool. I recommend it.
I love that shit. I love you show me a weird old horror movie, I'm in.
It ages itself. So like it when you watch it, like, yeah, this is definitely the 70s, and like the discrimination and the not understanding, and but the revenge feels good. And yeah, I won't tell you the ending, but I really, like, for an older movie, I was like, screw it all, you know.
I'll watch anything with a dentist in it. Tony,
Yeah.
is that the Keanu Reeves joint?
No, that's The Last Ronin. 13 Assassins is that's
Tekashi Mik.
And the movie I was thinking about, or the song from Wu-Tang Clan, isn't what you were just showing. It was something completely different, but it has to do with the executioner for the Shogun for the samurai and stuff. So
yeah, I think this is the Tekashi Miike joint. I want to make sure, because if I'm right, yeah, director Tekashi Miike, Ricky. You don't need an alibi. You're awesome. Here, where is it? I have to prove that I'm correct.
I love the screen sharing capabilities with the funky graphics.
13 Assassin. Tekashi Miike. He directed a bunch of shit that I love. A bunch of shit that I own.
When did that come out? When did 13 Assassins come out?
I think that was like 2008. We'll see in a second. Yeah, Blade of the Immortal. I didn't like Blade of the Immortal. Yeah, 13 is at 2010. I was close.
Okay.
No, but he did. Where's the good stuff? Masters of Horror. Yeah, he did a wild one. There was a Masters of Horror series. It was like, I think like 12 or 13 different directors all getting direct the movie. Yeah, he directed One Missed Call.
So foreign foreign movies you recommend that like Ricky likes? Is that what you're saying?
Ichi the Killer. That's yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. Ichi the Killer's sick. Yeah, dude, okay, so here's why. And I know I sound like such an asshole when I say, like, when I try to like beat the drum for foreign horror movies. I know I sound like the guy at the cafe who's like, listen to what I've seen. But like, the reason why it's so effective, it's actually mechanical. It has nothing to do with your intellect. When I tell you if I told you a story, okay, there is a summer camp and teenagers go there, and just as they're about to do it, a guy shows up and kills them. If I tell you that, like, that makes sense to your brain because you've heard stories like that. The hook on two teenagers making out in a car, a guy with a hook shows up. It's a penalty for exploring sex as a teenager, right? It makes sense to us. Every single culture has weird stories like that have nothing to do with our hangups about sex. It could be a hangup about, like, well, if your stepmother comes over and you don't have rice, now she's a horse leg that kicks you. Like, they have weird fucking shit. And so, like, mechanically speaking, when you watch a foreign horror movie, their ghosts look the way they do because of their mythologies. So, like, if you show me a ghost in the United States, what do they look like? They look pale. They look white. There's a lot of, like, the ethereal look because we have a hang up about, like, when you died, they drained the blood from your body. And so we got a cultural hang up about what does a dead body look like? You have a dead body in Japan and you'll see a person with, like, two candles on their head held by a strap with two little lights. And so that gives a certain image of, like, a feudal ghost, right? But take that image to 2010 and now all of a sudden it's two lights that look like eyes hanging over a blank face. It's the same cultural image to them that makes sense. And they're like, oh yeah, that's cool. But to us, we're like, well, why the fuck do they look that way? And so, like, you see it and you have a visceral reaction. And then when you're done and you go, why did they look that way? You can look it up and learn something at the same time. And then you're like, wow, that's really cool. And then you start to see it in other places. So, like, mechanically speaking, you experience foreign horror movies way different. Like, another easy one I'll give you. Australia. What does Australia look like? It's big and fucking empty. What's in the big emptiness? Everything that will kill you. Like, you can't go barefoot off a back road in Australia because there are living things that will bite you and hurt you. So, like, there's an anxiety over big empty spaces. And you can't fucking scream for help because you can see 3 miles in all directions and there's nobody here. So when you make a horror movie about isolation in the United States, what do? A house, a backyard, something that we feel closed in. If you want to do isolation in Australian horror movies, it is a person, a wide shot, they're a mile away and you can see no one's coming to help. And that type of anxiety is ramped up. So, like, Australian horror movies will make themselves in the broad daylight because they want you to see that there's no help coming. Whereas in American horror movies, it's always at nighttime. So, like, there's so much cool cultural shit that happens when you step out of our box.
I'd be down for. I know there's some seriously deranged stuff though that comes from other cultures that, you know, you've been like, don't watch this, Brandon. If you're not ready for this, don't watch this. Don't look at this one. You might like this one. There's a creature, but, like, this one will bend you. Or even that video we made where someone you like horror movies and the guy describes it, he's like, get the fuck out.
Yeah, no, it's true. I absolutely can't. I have to be careful about talking about horror movies in mixed company because, like, they're always like, yeah, dude, I love Saw. And I'm like, me too. And they're like, what do you like? And I was like, Saw, we'll stay there. That's safe. That's safe for you. I don't want to hurt you.
Yeah. Yep. No, and those movies are out there and exist. And then, like, watching your video, I took some deep dives and just, like, reading the you know, the plot of it. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to go there. You know, same can be said about Crossed. You're like, this is horrific. If you're not in the right headspace, don't read it. It'll warp.
And and it's funny you brought up Cross. Literally, I want to say it's now like 22 days ago they wrapped filming on the movie. It's done. It's done. The guy who they got the guy who directed The Sadness. And they said, can you do this again with this property? And he was like, mm-hmm. And so they just finished filming. So
where's that going to release?
I guarantee you, I will fucking, this is a Ricky exclusive, everybody. I will fucking guarantee you, Shudder is going to pull in at the last second and they're just going to buy it. They're going to buy it outright. They're going to say, hey, how much did it cost to make your movie? $15 million? Cool. We're going to pay you 70 and now we own it. So go away. We're not sharing DVD sales or poster sales. Maybe you'll get 5% off an action figure, but, like, we're not. It's our movie. That's the best thing about Shudder. They've got the capital now where if a movie's, like, dead in the water, they'll just buy the fucking thing.
That's going to twist some minds, man.
Dude, it's going to be sick. If you want to see it now, just watch The Sadness.
You told me that. Yeah,
yes.
I gotta look it down.
Dude, The Sadness is like, that's the story of your kid walking in the room and then realizing the type of man his father is. It is South Korean.
South Korean. Okay, I knew it was Asian, and I watched like an excerpt of it, and I'm like, oh great, this is what I had to look forward to because you told me that it was the exact same thing, and I was like, I'm not gonna watch the whole thing, but I'll watch an excerpt, and I was like, holy crap! Like,
Oh yeah. It's a great movie. I bought a kimono of it. I bought that. It said like I knew I was buying a kimono, and I knew it was going to be like Asian person sizes. So I was like, how many X's do they offer? And I got the most amount of X's. I couldn't close this thing if I sawed off half of my body like a bodies exhibit that travels around the country. I wouldn't be able to close this goddamn thing.
safe bet. The bodies exhibit. Did you guys hear that weird story that came out about that? Like, the bodies exhibit travels the country, and it shows like
I just made a joke about it.
people donated their body to science.
Yeah,
there's a family claiming that their son is in that exhibit, and he went missing, and they swear it's him, and they don't know where he had gone. And like, could you imagine if there's some like twisted thing? Like if you sign up for like he got conned into signing, it's a horror movie, he got conned into signing up for something, and they made him an exhibit, like
I love that.
That came out. I was reading. I was like, wow, that's wild. Like, how do you know? Like, he doesn't have any skin on. Like, you're just going off features. Like, it was wild.
I know that sternum anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Hagan, do you do horror? You've been kind of quiet over there.
Well, I was actually the next thing that I was going to talk about is horror-ish. I'm not a big horror person. My regular life is scary enough as it is, but when I'm in the mood for it, I do like horror movies and horror books more than movies. But the horror thing that I wanted to show off is I'm not going to show it off, but it's a short story. And generally, when you hear horror short story, you would think like maybe like Stephen King or like Edgar Allan Poe. This is Jack London. This is the author of The Call of the Wild. And Ricky, I think you know what this is. The short story is called To Build a Fire. It is a story about a man in the Alaskan wilderness, and that's it. I was introduced to the story by a YouTuber named Jacob Geller. He's a video essayist, and he did a video called Fear of Cold. That's excellent. That you should watch, but it is like an hour long. So if you just do video essays, like while you go like do choring around the house, that would be a good one. But basically, like from the very beginning of the story, this guy is screwed. You know that he's screwed, but it's fun to watch where in the story he is screwed. There's a passage that I wanted to read from it really quick. The trouble with him, where is it? There we go. The trouble with him was that he was not able to imagine. He was quick and alert in the things of life, but only in the things and not in the significances. 50 degrees below zero meant 80 odd degrees of frost. Such fact impressed him as being cold and uncomfortable, and that was all. It didn't lead him to meditate upon his frailty as a creature of temperature and upon man's frailty in general. He starts walking to his friend's house with a dog, and things just go wrong one after the other. It's like setting up dominoes, and then one thing happens and it knocks them all down, and it ratchets up tension the whole time. And I feel comfortable saying all of this because, like I said, from the very beginning of the story, you know that he's dead. You know that he's going to die. It's the journey getting there that's the interesting part about that story. But yeah, Jack London's To Build a Fire, a really, really great horror short story. It's only like 16 pages long, I think.
I'm in. I'm totally in on that.
Yeah, it's a good one to get. Well, I'm reading. Let's see here. I'm reading this right now. I literally started this yesterday. This is a book 3 in the Death Dealer, Frank Frazetta's Death Dealer series. There's 4 of them. They're written by James Silk, but the paintings and the art, and obviously the original Death Dealer picture, that one. Frank Frazetta was making a ton of money on his art, like selling calendars and shit. And so he hired James Silk to write these fantasy books of effectively Conan with a magic helmet. But they're really fun. They're really brutal. They're like,
how do they read? Are they good? Like,
it's the fantasy equivalent of reading a Mad Max movie. Like,
okay.
I know the character based on how tough he is and how cool he is and like what he manages to do. Trying to find, yeah, he fought off like 4 leopards. Giant leopards. He's just in the desert in like an old ruin of a building and just like hanging out with his camel. And then 5 giant leopards come out and they just start attacking him as a pack. That's the intro that we're given into the book. Claws caught the rim of his shield, but Gath had anticipated the tactic. Before the animal could plant its hind feet on the ground to haul the shield aside, he dropped his axe and sank into a low crouch, pulling both shield and animal towards him and driving the butt end of his shield up until the cat. He caught the full weight of the leopard on the face of the with his shield and heaved the animal back over his head into the shadowy interior of the cave. Now a narrow triangle formed by the fallen roof. Before the animal hit the wall, Gath drew his shield in front of him and rammed the remaining post. It went down and he leapt back as the fallen leopard scrambled upright to charge, only to be buried in an avalanche of rock and dust. Fun. This is the, and then the vampire fucked her real good for boys. And it's I'm not walking away a better person after reading this stuff, but I'm better for it, if that makes sense.
You know, the first time I saw an image of the Death Dealer was like the late 80s, and I was like at the mall, and someone had a Camaro with that airbrushed on the front. And I was like, I stopped. My dad was trying to walk me, and I was like, whoa, what is that, Dad? He's like, I don't know, son. It looks pretty crazy, though. And it was just it took up the whole hood of the car. And I was just like,
the most amazing man you've ever seen, boy.
That image.
Now let's go buy you slacks.
I mean, that was freaking probably 35 years ago, and it's burned into my brain of seeing that car with the Death Dealer, and then learning about it later in life, being like, that guy.
There's a branch of the Marines. The Marines have different, like, I'm not being disrespectful. I don't know the fucking terminology, but the Marines have like different clubs where it's like, you're this Marine from this, and this is your base. And they have like flags and art and shit.
Navy has it too, like the CBs and stuff.
Right. You know? There's a branch of the Marines where in their clubhouse, again, not trying to be disrespectful, but in their like base, when you walk in, there's like a 16-foot statue recreation that was like commissioned by the Frank Frazetta Society of that Death Dealer painting. I'm going to see if I can find a picture of it. It's wild.
That's sick as all hell.
Trying to get into the Death Dealer faction.
Yeah, dude, this is like one of my fun. This is like one of the most fun comic booky facts. Yeah, so they're called the Death Dealers. U.S. Marine Corps Death Dealers statue.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah, check this shit out.
Oh, you got it? You found it?
I got it. Yeah, of course. And then screen share. Look at this shit.
Whoa, they got a full-on statue.
That's what I'm saying. It's literally 1 for 1. It's life size. Look at this shit.
I need that picture without the dude and like A10 warthogs in the background. That's what I need.
I'm not sure there's anything else that's made me feel more badass to be an American lately than a Frazetta statue of the Death Dealer at a Marine base.
Wild, huh?
I'm surprised no one was like nerds. You know, like it's transcended nerddom to just be an absolute icon of badassery.
Well, I mean, when it makes it airbrushed onto the hoods of muscle cars, like
check out that shit.
It's not nerd. It doesn't belong to nerds anymore.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, Night Riders, VMM 164, metal as fuck. You're right, Hope. That is so metal.
I'm saying, U.S. military, baby.
Now I want to research to see if anyone has anything remotely cool to that. Like that's pretty much game over.
Yeah, that's the book series I'm reading. It is It's
check that out.
it's fine. It's fine. They're annoyingly expensive. So read the digital version. They were mass market paperbacks, but each one of them, they kind of have that smack of when you buy a 90s comic book and it says all over it, like first issue collector's item. In the indicia in these books, they make it really clear. They're like, first printing ever, idiot. Like, get your dick out of your butt, nerd. Buy the first printing. And I'm like, I don't think this ever got a second printing. And because everything I see is first printing, but like there are people that will charge you like $60, $70 for the paperback of the first book. I bought the second one. That is the crispiest, unbrokenest, like no one ever read book 3. No one ever got this far. But they're annoyingly expensive. I'd say like if you want a physical copy and you get a good deal, it's like $30 a piece. For like 4 paperbacks, you're talking like $120. But yeah, they're all annoyingly saying like we're all first print and shit. Okay, I've only got one final thing to talk about, and this is the thing that Hagan's little wiener is just absolutely the hardest over, I'm sure. This is an anime. It's an anime, folks. So this is called Freeren Beyond Journey's End. What makes this special is it structurally, at least, reminds me. You can watch it on. Okay, it is on Netflix. I believe it's on Hulu, and it's on Crunchyroll where I watched it. So it is readily available. Freeren Beyond Journey's End is it's structurally, at least, it's built a lot like Game of Thrones. It's built like Game of Thrones in that Game of Thrones should have happened before the story that we get. Like if you were going to write a story about Game of Thrones, you'd write the story about how a prince kidnapped a girl and then this guy's like, yo, that's going to be my wife. And then he starts a war and he kills a king over it. And like that should be the story. But that's what happens before Game of Thrones. The story we get is after all of that. This anime begins on the last day of the Lord of the Rings adventure. So like you bow to no man. Like all of that Lord of the Rings shit is the first episode of this anime because the adventure ended off screen. And so then now that the journey's over and you're left with like, you've got a team of 4, you've got the lead hero, you've got a cleric, a priest that can heal people. You've got a super strong dwarf and you've got a mage elf. They just saved the world. And then they're now saying, okay, see you next time. And then they disband. So this is where I have to tell you the funny part of the story. Freeren began as a gag. So the artist and creator of Freeren told this story of, it was a little paneled comic as a gag. And it was this elf talking to their friends saying, wow, what a great adventure. See you later, guys, and walks off the screen. Then the elf comes back in the next panel, and then they're all at the funeral of one of the guys. And it was like, you said you'd see us later. And she's like, yeah, it's been a short 50 years. Womp, womp. And then that's the gag. The editor, who was the editor of the manga, sees this gag and says, that's heartbreaking. I really want you to explore that. And so that's where Freeren comes from. Freeren, the first episode begins on the last day of the Lord of the Rings. And she says, okay, guys, I'll see you later. And she comes back and everyone's old. And like 50 years has gone by. And originally them showing up in the city and saying, hey, we saved the day. There's a fucking statue of them right there. And it's got patina on it because it was 50 years ago. And it's not a spoiler. It's the first episode. The main hero guy there, Aragorn, he dies as an old man, a happy old man. And the kingdom is weeping. And this elf who can ostensibly live thousands of years says, I feel like I wasted my time with my friends and I can't make that right with them, but I can try for the next people that I meet. And so she gets an apprentice and she gets a young warrior and she's retracing the steps of the journey she took the first time. And now she's appreciating life. And it's not a story action oriented in the way that you're thinking in terms of like they go out and there's an antagonist and they fight. It's the small moments. It's the small moments of realizing that like slowing down and talking to the people that you care about are the things that matter because all the action happened before.
What becomes important when you have all the time in the world. When time is not the limiting factor, what are the things that you hold most valuable? And yeah, Ricky, like you said, the fact that it starts after the quote unquote interesting part, it's the story after the story. It's so fascinating. The journeys that they get to go on, and playing with an immortal elf who, I think in the first episode, she talks about how she barely knew these people. And they were like, we spent 10 years together. What are you talking about? And she's like, yeah, it was only 10 years. And it's just like the scope, or the economies of scale when it comes to time, when you live that long, when you experience things the way that they do. And so it's really interesting to see Freeren as a character learn how to zoom in, focus, and slow down. The music is phenomenal. The music is phenomenal. And I'm not just talking about like the theme or the outro, because the theme and outro of an anime, like either it's going to be a banger or it's going to suck ass. There doesn't really seem to be an in-between.
They even remix the outro, or no, the intro, and it's like the outro becomes the intro because they realize it's their big song, and then they remix it, and it's even sicker. It hits different notes. It's different feelings.
Yeah, not just the intro and the outro. There are just little just scenes of them walking in forests, and the sounds that you hear, the music that's playing makes you feel like it's there. The first intro that they have for like the first half of the season, the art style in particular is gorgeous. Like it feels like it's got like a lo-fi filter down in front of it. It's just like a very raw, fuzzy in a good way sort of feeling, I think. Yeah, it's a work of art, and there are killer lines in that thing too.
If you just watch the first episode, you will know if you will get it, and that's I appreciate that as well. Like I grew up in the 90s where like anime would be a one thing up into a point, and then they would like pull the rug out from under you and like think they were being clever, but they always just ruined everything. Anime did that all the time. But like this in particular, like from the first episode, this is exactly what you're going to get. Like if you enjoyed yourself, great, keep going. It only gets better from here, but you'll know right away.
That's interesting because one of my friends, Jordan Taylor, is in the chat right now. That's exactly how he sold it to me. He was like, just watch the first episode. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Because there are people that will try to sell you on, like, I don't know if either of you two watch The Office.
Don't listen to recommendations.
Yeah.
Ricky's place.
I can't watch The Office. I know that there are funny parts of it. I get that. But when you tell me to just skip the first, or to just get through the first 3 seasons, and then season 4 or 5 is where it starts getting really good, that's when I tell you to fuck off and that I don't have that much time. So like the one episode, if you like it, you will like the show 100%.
I appreciate when they do that. I was just saying before I came on, literally before I came up here, I hit episode 1100 of One Piece. I've been watching that shit for 10 years now. I love One Piece. You make the time.
Time is our asset. Yeah. I mean, especially my kids eat my time. My life eats my time. Like if I'm going to dedicate, like Alien Earth was the first show I've sat down and dedicated time to because I was really interested in. And then but books are easy. Like I have a whole stack of books that, like Ricky, you said, like you're so behind on reading. It's like I can't possibly like go through it as fast as TV can plug this episode into my head in one episode, so that's been more enjoyable putting my time into that, or the being in this fucking thing all day. But I love spending time with you guys. Thanks for inviting me tonight, Ricky.
Yeah, dude. And whenever you got to leave, you can you're not a prisoner.
I have tomorrow off. That's why I'm.
Oh fuck yeah!
I'm drinking. Not a prisoner. That's not what you text me.
Godzilla cup.
That's not what you text me. You fucking leave, dude.
Yeah, get out. I'm done with you now. No, okay.
Okay, never mind.
No, go ahead, please.
I was gonna say the concept of like characters that live forever. Freeren doesn't live forever, but characters that have that sort of like scale of time flows very nicely into one of my favorite narratives ever. I've talked about it before, but I did want to talk about it again. It's called 17776, and it is a web comic by a sports writer named John Boyce. Now, 17776 is the sort of the elevator pitch is one day soon, like in the 2010s or in the 2020s, humans stop dying. So they stop dying of natural causes and they stop aging. And then at some point after that, they make this nanomachine network that keeps them from dying from injury. Human beings have become functionally immortal, and they live to the year 17776. And the narrative opens with one character in red text talking to nothing, and then a character in green. And you learn eventually that these are space probes, Pioneer 9, 10, and the Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer, that have been in space for so long that they have gained sentience, and they have learned how to communicate back with Earth and communicate with each other. And they watch football games, and they learn about humanity through watching football games. Now, I know that saying like the word football in a nerd space is a bad thing. It is football in name only. They use a football, but it is not the same game. And the story is not about the sports. It is it's three machines that talk about what it is to be a human. One of the things that they say is the youngest probe. Comic Geek Collectibles made the frame. The youngest probe is Pioneer 9. And he is upset because human beings haven't gone out into the galaxy. They've stayed on Earth. Like he wanted space exploration. But there's a hard limit, like the speed of light. You can't go past it. And so human beings never got that far. Yes. Oh, thank you. I actually want to just take a look at this really quick. This is how it starts.
This is how it reads. This is weird.
Mm-hmm. There are it's multimedia, so there are parts where you read, and then there are web videos, and then there are GIFs like inside the page. It's a masterpiece. Like honestly, it's a masterpiece.
That's wild.
But yeah, once Pioneer 9 learns that people have stayed on Earth and he gets upset about it, his older sister, Pioneer 10, tells him that people had a choice. They could continue wandering through endless darkness and absence of everything they loved, an endless void of disappointment and loneliness, or they could look down and embrace what they had always loved. And it's just a story that talks about people loving one another and these space probes talking to one another. It's wonderful. It's really wonderful. If you can get, Ricky, that part that you just showed, you don't have to bring it back up, but that part that you just showed, get to the first video. If you don't like it after that, stop reading. That's the conceit. It will take you 6 minutes to get to that point of the story. If you don't like it after that, you can stop reading. It's fine. But yeah, I love that story so much, and I'll talk about it whenever I can.
Okay, I that reminded. There's no way that it should have reminded me of this question, but I have this question. Did you guys see Fantastic Four?
Mm-hmm.
Did you enjoy it?
I did.
How much?
If Superman was an A, Superman was an A for me. Fantastic Four was a B+. That's about where I sit on it. I'm very interested to hear what you have to say, though, Brandon.
I think we already talked about this. Didn't we talk about this somewhere else? And I haze you guys. Yeah,
I haven't seen it. I won't give Disney my money when it's in theaters.
It was a 9 out of 10 for me. I had a couple little problems with it that didn't detract from the overall story. I thought it was the most cohesive thing that Marvel has put together in some time that set up future events well. I know Dave didn't like it. I thought Superman was fun and a fun popcorn movie. But I thought it was more disjointed and that James Gunn tried to do a whole heck of a lot in not a lot of time. I did really enjoy it. It's just I loved, like, Fantastic Four had a certain thing that it stuck to the whole time. There wasn't any other characters other than Galactus and Silver Surfer, the antagonists. You know, like there was nothing else going on. They didn't bring in any other Marvel stuff to make you think about. It was really a love letter to Kirby, too, in a lot of ways. And Galactus was truly terrifying. Like, the first time the Fantastic Four see him is how I wanted to feel and how I imagine people would feel seeing him. I didn't hate, like, when I compare them, I didn't hate Superman. I just thought it was a fun movie, fun popcorn movie. I thought it was more disjointed in that they're going all like the Justice Gang and him and Lois's relationship. I thought there was some great stuff there. Don't get me wrong. Like, the conversation they had in the apartment was awesome. Just, yeah, first steps, I think nailed the characters.
Yeah.
And like in the past movies, Human Torch, like Johnny was like kind of portrayed as stupid, you know, and like the womanizer and stuff like that. But like in this one, he's smart and he's trying to figure things out. And it only makes sense that Reed is only going to bring the smartest scientists into like space. He better like have his shit together, you know? There were some cool moments too. Like it's about parenthood too, you know, in a lot of ways. So that connected to me as a parent. So kick him off.
It's hard not to want to compare the two of them because they wanted us to compare the two of them. You know what I mean?
The thing. I got a Superman movie and a Fantastic Four movie within 2 weeks of each other. I'm a fucking happy comic nerd.
The thing about it is, like, yeah, these two characters, Superman and the Fantastic Four, they have been so mistreated by the movies that they've gotten. Superman got great movies a long time ago, and then they've all been shit like in the recent past, right?
Right.
Fantastic Four haven't gotten a good movie that I've watched, and they certainly didn't get the characters right in most of them. But these movies did that really well. I think that they did justice to two characters that have been mistreated. And if you like one over the other, that's totally fine. I like Superman more than I like Fantastic Four because I actively dislike the Fantastic Four. So the fact that I like the movie is a miracle. But I think that they both were really, really good, and Fantastic Four was better than I was afraid it was going to be. I've been really, really not happy with the stuff that Marvel's been putting out here recently. So yeah, Fantastic Four was a welcome surprise.
I like David Kordswet as Superman. I liked him a lot. I know you're pumped about Crypto, Ricky. I think he was.
I don't deserve to live in the universe where this movie had as much crypto as it did. It doesn't make any sense.
I love Crypto. He was great. I loved the Justice Gang. Mr. Terrific scene was unbelievable. I mean, it's just a showstopper. And yeah, like I don't talk about it much on my channel or like with my friends. Like, Superman had a huge impact. The movies, like my dad showed me, like, that opening score from John Williams will forever get my blood going. And Christopher Reeves was just everything we wanted in a Superman, and he was just so good. The first movie is just amazing. I think I like the second movie a lot too, just because it was the first time we had super. You know, like we had General Zod and Ursa and Nan. What's his name? Is it Nan?
Okay.
You don't like that movie, huh?
It's not that. Okay. And you know what? Like, I think it's impossible for comic nerds to disagree with me on this next point. So I'm really excited to say it. I am sick and goddamn tired of superhero movies where the first villain they fight is the negative version of themselves.
Oh no, I'm glad it came in the second one. Oh wait, the first one they fought was
but the first one he doesn't like. Okay, the first one it's all vibes because he doesn't like fight anybody. Like, there's no one to fight. You know what I mean? It's the rocks that hurt him. It's the rocks that hurt him. But like Iron Man 1, Obadiah Stane, it is a negative version of him. Ant-Man, Yellow Jacket, it is a negative version of him. Superman, Zod, it is a negative version of him. Captain America, it is a negative version of him. It is the same shit. The Flash movie, he's fighting a negative version of him. Aquaman, he's fighting a negative version of him. It is always a negative version of the main character because they want to use that character to like reinforce information about the main character, but they're not letting me contrast enough. You know what I mean? So like, it's always been really frustrating to me whenever there's a like, okay, we have a new superhero, here's a new villain who is exactly the superhero who we're teaching you about at the same time.
You know what I liked it as a kid though was like the ending when he had to outsmart them. Like that seems like a trope that could come right from a comic book. Two people with equal power, but brains is what's going to take them down. You know, him using Lex to think he's going to betray them, and then they take his powers away, and the fucking music cues in. Like, I see what you're saying, though. I definitely like, what character could they have pulled off back in the day? Do you think of his rogues gallery?
Brainiac.
Look at what happened when they did a freaking Nuclear Man. Look how
I'm still waiting for Brainiac, because Brainiac is a computer.
They kind of tried to do that with a girl in the third one. Didn't you feel like that was a cheap Brainiac? The third one sucked, in my opinion.
I can see how I can see that. But yeah, Brainiac is he would have a connection to Krypton, because he's a Kryptonian computer, but he knows all the information that Superman doesn't know. And he's kind of like an abusive ex. Like, if you want pictures of your kid, you have to invite me to your birthday party. Like, he's like so gross. And just like the strength and the fact that he like subjugates civilizations would give you opportunity for Superman to have to defend the Earth civilization that he loves, even though we're imperfect. You know, I've conquered several civilizations and Earth sucks. I can verify that, says Brainiac. It's verifiable. The only thing that makes you unique is McDonald's. It writes itself. I'd like to see Brainiac.
Yes. Brainiac would have been cool. I just don't know how they would have treated him in 70 or 80, 81, whatever.
Green makeup.
Yeah, green makeup, dryer exhaust tubes.
Yeah, lots of this with technology moving on its own.
Yes.
Kind of like the toaster scene in Ghostbusters 2, but with this.
So, Ricky, I never asked you. I never talked to you. How much did you like Superman?
I enjoyed it. Okay, so it's hard to be biased. You know what I mean?
I think you made an allocated reaction, right?
It's so if your daughter was in a production of Annie, in what universe would you be like shallow and pedantic? Like, there's no way you could fucking.
I'm setting this shit up for reality, Ricky. She's gonna hear it how it is.
Yeah, you're gonna learn fucking today that nobody gives a shit about your red ass, fake ass wig. That's not even real hair. I know what your hair looks like. But like, there's no way. So it's like my very first YouTube video 2 years ago was me unboxing my first appearance of Supergirl. I wonder why that's significant. And then in that same video, my first video ever, where I'm like stumbling over my words and sweaty, I also brought up that like, I'm so glad I got this because it goes with my crypto book. And then my second video was my love letter to crypto. Like, I absolutely love crypto. I don't deserve to live in a universe where pretty much he got that much of the movie. So it's hard for me to be in any way, shape, or form, even remotely unbiased. Like, they could have just released 30 minutes of crypto in the crypto scenes without context and gave me no movie. I would have been like, brilliant.
Yeah, same with Fantastic Four. I do have bias there. I do have a huge amount of bias for them and the villain, and yeah, but it's tough not to. But I was pumped for you when crypto came on. I was like, Ricky's just got to be fucking eating this.
Oh, and the best line in the movie, the best series of lines in the movie is crypto related, where he goes, I'm gonna go turn myself in, and she goes, are you for a dog? And he goes, yeah, not even a really good dog, but he's alone and he's probably scared.
Oh, that line
was like fucking.
That line was, yeah, that's, if he's not your Superman, shut the fuck up, get out.
Go get him.
I just love the end too when his cousin shows up, and is Kara? Is that Kara? When she fucking shows up and she's just hungover or still drunk, and he's like, she likes to go party on other worlds that don't have red suns. Explain it to the robots, and Crypto just freaking mauls her. That was so adorable.
Yeah, and you know what? Cool, and it's hard because like the comment sections are so like bifurcated. It's either like I've been called a gun bot for liking the movie. It's not great right now, the discourse, because I think people really, I don't want to call them butthurt because we could be in mixed company or people could watch this, but like for 10 years you got one version of Superman, and then now that's not the case anymore. And comic book people, the reason why we're not really upset about it is because we're used to it with comics. You fall in love with a writer, you get them for 100 issues. Oh my God, that's an unprecedented run. And then they rip them away, and then you get a new writer, and all of a sudden you're just like, it's not the same. I wish they'd carry on the story from before. But the new writers get their new story that they want to tell. They take it in a new direction. They invent new characters that you don't like. Your breakdown
video was perfect for that.
Thank you. It was wonderful. But like, isn't that true? Like, don't you feel like you're like don't you feel like your like love of comics has kind of inoculated you to the idea of like the reboot?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like the way that I read comics as a kid inoculated me to that. I didn't get runs. I got individual comics out of dollar bins. And so I'm very used to like characters acting not the way that they acted or not the way that I wanted them to act because, you know, I got this book from the 90s and then I got this book from the 70s and the characters act completely different even though they're the same. I think that it's inoculated us, like you said.
So I think the Man of Steel fan community, they're like saying like hashtag wallets closed. We're not going to support this, and you know we're not going to go see this movie. And what frustrates me to no end is if I were to ask you, there's a word I want you guys maybe in the comments section. Maybe you can guess it watching this at home. I don't know, but try to guess the word I'm about to tell you about. Take a sports team. Sports team's been around since the 30s. This guy's never been into the sports team before, but in 2014, they get a star player that they love. They get a coach that's interesting, and all of a sudden, this guy's buying T-shirts of the sports
Bandwagon
team.
fan.
There you go. He's got the hat of the sports team. He loves the sports team, and he gets 10 years of his star player and his coach.
Patrick Mahomes could do no wrong.
Get the hell. And then they move. They move teams. They move projects. They move on. And then these motherfuckers are going to say, burn your jerseys. If we were talking about sports, they would be laughed out of the room. But like, for whatever reason, we've like tolerated this type of like, you don't have to like it, but your ass better be in the theater supporting the character, because if you're not there, then they don't make a movie with the character. Like, they think that like, oh man, Superman bombed. This sucks so much. Now we'll definitely get Cavill back. No, they just won't make the fucking movie again. It's insane. It's an insane logic. And it's like, it's because they're not in this shit. They're not in this shit for the long haul. And so I'm not trying to be like the gatekeeping guy, but like maybe we should gatekeep a little bit so that we can keep ourselves sane.
I think James Gunn is being very smart about how he's handling DC and saying he's not going to greenlight anything unless a script is done. I think too many of these studios, DC and Marvel, have just gone with it, thinking they're
filming now. Doomsday is filming now without a finished script,
and so much stuff will hit the cutting room floor because they're bringing people in. It's disjointed, and there was some disjointed stuff in Fantastic Four. I didn't say it was perfect. There's probably some stuff that ended up on the cutting room floor, and like Gunn to just say, no, I need a script. It needs to be finished, because like you're spending this much money to make movies. Like not every movie is $1 billion movie anymore.
Yeah. Disney is so bad about that. Like with Star Wars, they started doing a trilogy without a plan for the trilogy. It doesn't matter what the characters are. The characters can be anything. The writing has to be good. Nobody, yes. I didn't care about Mr. Terrific before Superman. I thought Mr. Terrific was great in Superman. I didn't like the Fantastic Four before the Fantastic Four movie. I don't mind them now. I still really don't like the team, and I will not read their comics. But like the movie was fine. Yeah, like I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
It's so funny. I'm not a Marvel guy, never have been. If I was to be a Marvel guy tomorrow, and buy like you can only get one. You got to be in, and you can only get one. It would be Fantastic Four. They're so Silver Age and silly, and like I love Silver Age. Silver Age is just so wacky and weird, and just like they're all about it. And well, what are we doing this week? I don't know. Reed invented something stupid. Great.
They had some good callbacks like in the intro of the movie to the Silver Age. And but yeah, like you can't be spending these money on these movies without having a good script written, because you're just like, everyone's like, oh, Superman's failing now. They're not going to make, be profitable. And Fantastic Four, they're not going to be profitable because they didn't make.
Who's the guy that did the newest X-Men? The cartoon.
Yes. On
Dude,
Twitter,
he fucking lost his mind.
He's like, let me tell you how the meetings go with the Marvel.
Holy Hannah.
My buddy tagged me in that. And he just like breaks down of like how they go into a meeting. These people have great comic knowledge about stuff, and they're like, "No, we're not using it." Like that's dumb. Like
Bo DeMeo, his tweets are
yes.
fucking wild.
Yeah, he pretty much just laid it all out, and it's like if that's the truth, that's sad, and that's why it's not doing well. Good call, Richard.
Dude, it's wild. I'm pulling up something that he said now. He's really given a lot of like spilling a lot of tea.
The creative meetings. Yeah, you bringing it up?
Yeah, I'm trying.
You basically sit in a room with Kevin Feige and Lou Esposito and try to pitch your movie while also realizing that Kevin just wants you to dictate his rushed thoughts. Victoria used to be in these, but Kevin and Lou had so mistreated her that one of my Blade meetings, she just showed up with sugar cookies she'd bake to help improve morale.
They're still having meetings for Blade?
They were.
I was about to say, that movie is not coming out. There's no way.
You're even told not to try to pitch ideas from the comics because Lou isn't a big comic guy and it'll turn him off.
That's fun.
I was told in a phone call after episode 5 premiered, I asked the exec if Kevin was happy because stupidly I still wanted to help the studio out. Their response was a long pause, and then I was told that he'd be happier if fans and audiences weren't using it as a referendum on what the MCU needs to be doing to fix itself. What makes it worse, I think, is that Kevin has nothing to do with X-Men 97 and could take no credit for it. Even internally, before the show aired, Marvel employees were reaching out to me asking how I was able to make a show this good given what the studio was and how it's the best thing the studio has ever done. Agreed. With their praise, I noticed more and more that I was becoming a threat and regret to studio leadership. And again, Kevin and Lou can't even be bothered to come to the premiere of the show at the El Capitan. They didn't show up to thank the fans. They didn't show up to thank X-Men TAS, the animated series, the crew, I'm assuming. The Lulz in Houston and the OG voice cast for how they built that foundation back in the 90s of the MCU. Nope. We were just a little cartoon that wasn't sexy enough or taken seriously enough to warrant that great Kevin Feige to attend.
He's right. I remember when you watched X-Men, not even as a Marvel fan, and I watched it and we were like, holy crap.
I literally said
amazing.
That one episode was the best writing that Marvel's done in years. Remember it, that episode.
Yeah, the one with Gambit, where we all
the name's Gambit. Remember it. I cried my eyes out.
Yup. Yeah,
I don't give a I couldn't find a single fuck to give about X-Men, but like, goddamn, that episode was brilliant. That was fantastic.
It makes you sad to think like how it could be going if writers like him were allowed to do what they want to do and like not be influenced by these people at the top that think they know what people want.
Yep.
Oh, wow, we're really hitting some deep dives tonight, guys. That felt good. Dude,
I'm like so like. It's here's the thing, like there's a hesitancy to be negative because it sounds I don't know. I guess people think maybe we're feeding the monster sometimes when you're being negative, but like really it's what I think a lot of comic book nerds feel is the worst thing your dad ever told you when he caught you drunk. And I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that like you have all of this money and all of this potential.
Yes,
and like
yeah.
I'm just so disappointed in your performance as of late, Marvel. Like, I don't understand it. They're okay with mediocrity.
You're right. It's disappointment. It's and I also read an interview once where they're like, why isn't it just like the comics? And like, we can't make it just ripped out of the comics because we'll lose the norms. But when we make stuff regular for the normies, the comic uber nerds get mad because it's not coming right from. They're like, oh, that shouldn't have been this. They change something, and their minds can't deal with it.
I really think that the integral part of things isn't the fealty to the comics; it's the quality of the writing. Because I think that if the writing is good and the story is happening for a reason, even if things don't happen the exact way that they happen in the comic books, comic book nerds don't care as much. Some of them do. Some of us are insane. But for the most part, if the story is good and makes sense, we're happy. If the story is bad or if it's poorly written, even if it's using a story from, the desk of Stan Lee, if the story's bad, people are going to hate it. It doesn't matter what property it's attached to. If the writing is poor, it's not gonna fly.
Well, yeah, because we're used. I think it's because we're used to Elseworlds, or I mean, speaking specifically with X-Men, like Age of Apocalypse. Like we're used to this is what we know, but one universe to the right.
Right.
We've gotten used to those ideas. And so like if I see a movie where it's like, I don't know, Silver Surfer's a chick, whatever, I can think this is Fantastic Four that I know, one universe to the right, and this is the difference. It doesn't really hurt my feelings. Red Sun exists. You know what I mean? Gotham by Gaslight exists. These things exist.
Love Red Sun.
And the thing is that, like, I don't mind being negative as long as it's presented like constructively, and with the caveat that some people take things too far. Some
Every
nerds,
time.
yeah, some nerds make things a way bigger deal than they need to be. We have been blessed these past 15 years with amazing comic book movies. If this is all we get, we're extremely lucky people, or the Marvel fans are extremely lucky people. So I really don't have any complaints. I walked out of the Endgame theater saying that if that's everything that I get, if Disney goes belly up tomorrow, if that's everything that I get, I'm fine. I'm good. Everything else is gravy, which is why, like, yeah, I'm not super happy with the stuff that Marvel's coming out with now, but I don't have to care. You know, it doesn't have to matter to me that much.
I mean, you're absolutely right. If it stops now, if nothing else ever comes of this again, we've already been spoiled with how much we've gotten. That's
Very
a really
true.
good point.
Is there a trick to doing those? We turn the
Yeah.
top and the side a certain way, and
Yeah.
I love watching those kids do the speed ones where they solve it in like less than 3 seconds. Oh, you just did it?
Yeah. And then I can make you a flower.
It's like Pursuit of Happiness over here. Oh, look at that.
Aw.
I work from home, but I used to work in an office at a college, and it was everyone in this giant, not warehouse. It was like an old mill building in Manchester, New Hampshire, huge mill building. And so like they wanted to have the Google effect of like chest high desks, and you could see to the other end of this, like, 1,800-foot room. It was too much. It was sensory overload. So like, if you didn't have anything to do, you had to pretend like you were working. And so I just literally sat there and I drilled the Rubik's Cube for days and days and days. And then my boss, he fucking hated it. He was like, it's a toy at work. And he was like gunning for me to get rid of it. And then the president of our university, Paul LeBlanc, he was giving a tour to some investors, and he's walking down the aisle, and I'm just on the phone talking to a student being like, well, the thing you got to remember is that like you're only going to get about a 15% if you hand in the assignment late. So really you're giving up an entire letter grade by the time you hit the midterm. And I'm solving this Rubik's Cube while just like chatting. And he goes, and this is the type of staff we hire. And I'm just like, and I was like, yes. It was a scene out of a movie. Everybody clapped. They all put me on their shoulders and said, wow, Ricky just saved the universe.
Did you look at your boss at that point and just smile while you were solving it?
No, he heard about it though. That was what was better. He wasn't there for it, but he heard about it. And they were like, oh, did you hear about Ricky and the Rubik's Cube in front of the president? Because he's president of the university. And they were like, fuck you. And he was, they told him the story. And apparently he was like even more mad, I think, than if he had seen it.
You love to see it. You
love to see it. That's my Rubik's
Gentlemen,
Cube story.
I'm sorry, but this is the end of the line for me. I gotta leave.
Well,
but I really enjoyed hanging out with y'all.
Yeah, we can end it there. Everybody, thank you so much for stopping by. Really appreciate it. This is just nerds hanging out and talking. This is what we do. We do it on each other's channel. We do it on our own. If you're here for me, if you've had a good time, I appreciate you. But everybody else here is worth subscribing to, because this is one giant geeky cinematic universe. So Brandon from On Comics, right over there, drop him a sub. He's a great guy. Hagan from Lettuce Comics, also equally a great guy. I'm better than both of them, but we love you so much. Thank you for stopping by. Hope to see you next